I'm going to show you how to take my client from looking like this to this in the next 17 minutes. So let's get into it. My name is Andre Morales and I've been a barber for about 9 years, and in those 9 years I've been teaching barbers skills and techniques to take their haircuts to a whole nother level, and today I'm going to do the same. So I'm going to start off by trimming the top after we saturate the hair with some water. And it's been a while since my client Dylan has gotten a haircut, so we're going to be taking off about 1 inch and we're going to follow this guideline straight back. Now with curly hair, a lot of times you're able to create sections, but it's a lot more difficult to feed the comb through the hair. So what I like to do is just start in the front and then work my way back. So as you can see, I established that line and I'm just following it back down the middle. And this middle guideline or section is going to be what we use for the rest of the hair as well. And the key is, for every section that you grab, you want to make sure that you're taking a portion that was already cut, so that way you can use that as your reference point when trimming the rest. But as you can see, I finished the middle, and now we're going to move towards his left side using that middle section as our guideline for trimming down his left side. Super simple, super easy, but what I'm being careful to do is not cut the hair at like a triangle shape, right? So I want to keep it squared. As you can see, when I'm at the parietal ridge, I'm not like conforming my hands to a triangle. I'm trying to keep it square as best as possible, so that way when it dries, it just dries in a more square shape and not so round. And after we created our sections going back, we're gonna come from the side just to cross check and make sure that we got it all completely even. So I'm pulling up, and any hairs that are uneven, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of. Cross-checking just ensures that you made sure that you got all the hairs and everything is the length that is desired. And now we're gonna go ahead and dry it with our diffuser, and I would say about a medium to low heat. And I'm fluffing the curls out as I do so, because he doesn't like his curls to be super tight. He likes them to be somewhat fluffier. Now this doesn't have to be perfect, but I want to make sure that we have nice dry hair to work with as we get into his fade. So now what we're going to do is come in with our 2-guard, and we're going to start to debulk so we can get ready for our blend. And the reason I like to use a 2-guard with the lever open is because I feel like it keeps the hair dark enough, but also low enough for the clippers to feed through and give us a nice clean canvas to work with. And you'll also notice that I'm not taking the 2-guard up super high. I want to keep it fairly low, just because if we need to take the hair or the fade higher, we can do so. And now we're going to come to the other side and do the same exact thing. And you'll notice I'm coming in with that 2-guard and scooping out. That's just because I don't want to create, a super harsh line that's difficult to get rid of. And after we finish debulking, we're going to get right into the fade. So we're going to start off this fade by establishing our bald line with the clipper closed. And we're going to follow that shape that we created when we took down the hair to the 2-guard. So we're going to start at the end of the eyebrow, sloping it around the ear and dropping it in the back. And the reason we're dropping the blend or giving it kind of this contoured shape is because it's going to fit the client's head shape a lot better while maintaining the curls in the back. Because what we don't want is to go for a high top look. We want to keep that way at the parietal ridge and occipital bone area. And the reason I did clipper closed instead of the trimmer first is because it's also going to make getting rid of that initial bald line a lot easier as well. Because a lot of times when you punch in the bald line with the trimmer, it's just going to create a very harsh line that just takes, a little extra attention to detail to get rid of, and trimmers that are very zero gap as well. And now we're going to the other side and we're doing the same exact thing. And you can already tell by looking at the shape of the guidelines, this is just going to fit his head shape very nicely. It's going to keep the line up nice and dark, while at the same time keeping the shape of the curls on the top of his head. And you'll notice when I'm using the trimmer, I'm not trying to take it all the way up to the top of that bald line. That's because I don't want to work backwards and make this line more difficult to get rid of. So I'm trying to stay right below that clipper close that we used to establish that line. And you want to allow the weight of the trimmer to do the work, so that way you don't cause any unnecessary irritation where you cause the client's skin to get red. And now we're going to follow it up with our foil shaver. And same with the foil shaver, I want to keep it below where I left off with the trimmer, right? Because we want to gradually get lower. We don't want to bring everything to that same line and just create a line all over again. So I'm coming in with the shaver, and I'm also giving it that flick out motion as well. And I feel like when you're doing a fade or a taper, a shaver is necessary to use just because it adds another layer of gradients to that blend. And now we're going to grab our lever all the way open on our clipper, and we're going to be going up about 1/4 inch, or I always say about a finger's width, and we're still going to drop it towards the back, giving it that contoured shape. And one thing looking back at this haircut that I would have done is made this line just slightly wider, just so I could make the blend gradual and more stretched out than it actually turned out. But all in all, the haircut came out nicely. But that's what it's all about. You know, you have to admit, as a barber, you don't always do the best thing, right? And you try to figure out ways to make the next haircut better. So I know that next time this client comes in, I'm going to make those guidelines slightly wider, so that way the blend comes out more how I imagine. And now we're going to establish all our lines going up. So I have my one guard with the lever all the way open, and we're going to establish this guideline going up the same width, about that finger's width, that 1/4 inch. And little by little, step by step, we're going to get closer to that finished result. And if you guys are enjoying the tutorial so far, but you feel like you want to go a little more in depth, have direct access to me and other barbers who are like-minded, I have an online training program that you can join by tapping the link in the description. And it's called Dre Clipper Hands Academy. So in Dre Clipper Hands Academy, like I said, we have a lot more in-depth haircutting tutorials where I break down my tricks and techniques to achieving, you know, high quality level haircuts in an efficient manner, right? By giving you the systems that I use, the processes that I use, and you're also thrown into a community of barbers who want to grow, which is always helpful. You're only as successful as the people who are around you. So if you can surround yourself with people via online that you can grow from, it's always beneficial. So again, you can join Dre Clipper Hands Academy, my online training program, by tapping the link in the description. So after that one guard open, I grabbed my 2 guard, and we're coming in with the lever all the way open as well. This will be the biggest guard that we use, so we know we're going to blend down from this point. But I'm coming in with that 2 guard and scooping out as I move up. And now we're going to start blending down. So I have my 1.5 open, and if open isn't doing the job and getting rid of that line, I'll go ahead and close that lever as needed. And I'm being sure with this 1.5 to not take it higher than that 2 guard open, just because I don't want to create too much extra work for myself. But you'll notice that line is already starting to come out. It's blending very nicely. So we're going to drop down to our half guard, the 0.5 guard with the lever open. And just like we did with that 1.5, we'll close that lever notch by notch as needed. And a lot of times when I'm talking about closing and opening the lever and, you know, figuring out what works and what doesn't, a lot of it comes with repetition. You can already tell what you need to do in order to get rid of certain lines. So that's why I always say to start off open, just to be safe, and then to cut a little closer, we close that lever. But that shape of the blend is coming together. It's keeping the weight in the areas we need it to. And now for the last line, we're going to come in with our clipper closed as opposed to all the way open, because we already established that line. And as we move higher into this blend, we'll open up that lever slightly. And you'll notice I'm using a lot of the corner of the blades as we get higher into that fade. That's just because it's going to allow me to cut a lot more detailed and eliminate the chance of me taking the blend higher than needed. And we're just continuing to work with the lever, trying to see what works and what doesn't. This is where I'm talking about the detail comes into play. trying to make this blend as clean as possible. And now to transition into the sides and top a little better, we're going to be doing some clipper over comb. So I like to use clipper over comb because I find it to be the most efficient manner to blend, and it's slightly easier for me as well. But what you could do if you're not comfortable with clipper over comb is, we know we left off with that 2 guard open, so you could go to the 3, then the 4, and blend like that as well. But going back with the 4th and 4th with the guards could take just slightly more time, and I feel like with clipper over comb we could be a little more detailed in getting it blended where we need it. And clipper over comb tends to make it a little choppier and sharp. So to soften it up, I'm going to do some scissor over comb or thinning shear over comb. And this is going to soften everything up and allow it to blend nicely. And you'll notice I did one side and not the other in this video. That's just for recording purposes. It's slightly easier, but in real time in the barbershop, I do my steps all the way around. But it's all about finding that system that works for you. And I feel like when you find a system of cutting or fading that works for you, it's all about perfecting it and doing it over and over. Because again, time is money. So if you find a way of cutting that is faster for you, stick to that, right? Because you want to get in as many haircuts as possible while keeping quality, and that's how you really excel as a barber. And now for the beard, all we're really going to be doing is a reverse taper. So we're coming in with the lever open, and for the line in between, we'll close it and open it little by little. And now we're going to grab our 1 guard with the lever open to start blending into the beard. Then we'll close it. And you can already see this is pretty much blending just after the 1 guard. But we are going to drop down to our 2 guard and then our 1.5 to really make this transition clean. And now we're going to use our corner just to fine tune that beard blend and get into those dark spots. So as you can see, I'm literally using the corner and tapping at those dark areas. And I forgot to record me lining up the vertical bar and arch. But as you can see, I started at the top of the arch, then went to the bottom and gave it that nice curve. And we're also going to detail the side with the corner of our blade as well. But that thing is looking clean. It fits his head shape very nicely. And on the other side, we lined up his arch as well. And that's what it's all about with haircuts, is giving our client a haircut that suits them, that fits them, and makes them happy. And now for the lineup, we are going to line up his fringe or his parting area. We don't want this part to be super thick or wide. We want to let the hairs that are naturally going to fall forward do that. And then we'll line those hairs up so when the curls fall over it, it looks nice and full. And his lineup isn't naturally symmetrical. It's more of a U or V shape. So we do have to raise the middle in order to give it, you know, the illusion of it being straight. Same with this corner. We're not digging into it. But to give it that Instagram quality and pop, we are going to use some enhancements. So we're going to spray a light amount on his lineup. So we'll spray lightly, move the card, and then spray more if we need to darken it up. And now we'll come to the other side, do that same exact thing. And now we are going to knock the beard down just to make it look a little cleaner, but we do want to keep it dark. So we came to the decision to knock it down to a 3. And you'll notice with this 3 guard, I'm just trying to go against the grain in every which direction, because beard hair grows in a lot of different directions. So you might need to go at one angle in a certain spot and a different angle at another. But you just want to make sure that you get this all knocked down to a true 3 guard. But it kept the beard nice and dark, nice and full. Now we'll come to the other side and do the same thing. So you'll see I'm coming up on the side there, and then as I get towards the bottom of the jawline, you'll see me kind of go sideways. And now we're gonna go ahead and frame out the bottom, which I feel like for most beards really makes the beard pop and look its fullest and darkest. So I'm lining up the back of the beard, and then I'm going towards the bottom and middle of the beard. And we want to be sure to not keep this line too high or too low, right? We want to find that middle point to where it's nice and clean without it looking like a neck beard or a chin strap. And this client did bump up on his neck because he used a razor, so that was not me. And now for the lineup, we're going to use our straight razor, and you want to be careful with the straight razor to stretch the skin in the opposite direction of which you are using it. What this is going to help prevent is irritation or cuts, because when you create that tension on the skin, it allows the razor to glide nicely. Same on this other side. That blend with the lineup is hitting. I don't know about you, but leave a comment down below if you think this haircut is coming together nicely. The razor is definitely the cherry on top that brings everything together. And again, if you guys want to learn how to do this, my exact system of cutting just a little more in depth, join my online training program, link in the description. And now we're going to get into the beard lineup. So for the beard lineup, I have my client kind of blow a bubble just to create that tension that we need. And I'll establish my line at the bottom of the beard, and then I'll go to the top of the beard and connect those 2 points in the middle, keeping it as wide as possible and as high as possible unless the client asks otherwise. As you can see, we got it framed out nicely. Now we'll go ahead and reline it just to make sure that it's truly sharp. And that's really the key. You don't want to just line it up once. You want to line it up multiple times. Obviously not making it super red, but you want to make sure that that line is truly sharp. And I will go to the other side and do the same thing. And my client is definitely exaggerating the bubble if you look at my boy's lips, but you guys get the idea. It's just to create that tension. You also want to be sure to get the hair at the top of the beard, because those little hairs or that peach fuzz that you tend to not notice can distract from the lineup and not make it look as clean. So as you can see, we're relining it and making sure that it's sharp. But fam, this is the cut. If this video helped you in any way, shape, or form, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And like always, I will catch y'all next time. Peace.